Lillian and I had a deal. You can choose not to love me, but you absolutely cannot lie to me. Whoever deceives the other will completely poof out of their world. Therefore, even if she later caught feelings for her best friend's little brother, she just hid it from me, tucking him away in a secret house. She was terrified I would pull a Houdini and disappear, and she definitely didn't dare face the consequences of my vanishing act. But she couldn't hide it from me. I knew everything. So, that very night I summoned the system, requesting to log out of this world. I wasn't a player, but my mom was. Before she left, Mom gave me a necklace. She told me she didn't belong to this world. Her mission was complete, so she had to bounce. She said if I ever felt unhappy living in this world, I should use this necklace to summon the system and go straight to her side. I kept this secret from everyone, including Lillian. System is processing. You will be yeeted from this world in exactly 15 days. Right as the robotic voice faded, the necklace in the palm of my hand also vanished into thin air. At the same time, the TV started playing. It was broadcasting Lillian's interview. The new jewelry line launching this time is called Trav. CEO Lillian, may I ask if this holds any special meaning? Hearing the host's question, the main guest, Lillian, flashed an incredibly gentle smile. Her eyes were brimming with warmth. It's my husband's name. The meaning behind this product line is, I will love him for my entire life. The host, unexpectedly force-fed this romantic dog food, couldn't hide the satisfied grin on her face. I heard that you and your husband are each other's first loves. You tied the knot the second you hit the legal drinking. I mean, marrying age. You've been married for 5 years and your relationship is still so solid and so sweet. Do you have any secret relationship hacks? A secret? I guess it's just listening to whatever my husband says, always replying to his text at the speed of light, and preparing daily surprises for him. Lillian's series of experience sharing left the studio audience turning green with envy. Spicy! Oh my God, heavens above. Please bestow upon me a boss lady like this, and make her a loyal girlfriend too, a once-in-a-millennium catch like Lillian. CEO Lillian, when is it my turn to be in his shoes? Hearing the endless gasps of admiration from the crowd, Lillian beamed, her face glowing. Her voice was soft as she apologized. Lillian belongs exclusively to Travis. Watching this scene, my heart couldn't help but violently throb in pain. She and I had been together since we were 15. In love for 7 years, married for 5 years. Clearly, everything she did to love me wasn't fake. But her heart didn't entirely belong to me anymore. Suddenly, a noise came from the door. Lillian pushed the door open and walked in, holding a bouquet of bright red roses in her arms. Trav, my meeting ran a little late today. I'm sorry for making you wait for me this late. I looked up and saw the faint smudge of lipstick hiding on her collar. Was it a business meeting or a tonsil hockey meeting? My tears had already dried up, so this time, I didn't say a word, just glanced at it and looked away. It's fine. From now on, you can come home whenever you want. You don't even have to come home. You don't need to care about what I think, just like you don't need to know. Hearing me say these words with such a nonchalant tone, Lillian's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Trav, please don't be mad at me, okay? I promise I won't come home this late ever again. I swear, as long as you forgive me, I'll do anything. It was clearly a microscopic issue, yet she hugged me, coaxing me with such humble words, putting my tiny emotions in the most important VIP seat. I didn't get it. She clearly loved me to death. So why the betrayal? I absolutely had to act this out with her for 15 days, so I could only try to suppress the raging dumpster fire of pain in my heart. You're really not mad? Lillian wanted to say something else, but suddenly caught sight of something missing on my neck. She instantly panicked. Trav, where's your necklace? She knew that it was the item my mom left for me before she disappeared. I cherished it like my own life, always keeping it on me, never ever taking it off. My collar felt scorched. I lowered my eyes. It broke. I took it to get fixed. Seeing my expression, Lillian assumed I was in a bad mood today, because the necklace made me miss my mom, so she hurriedly comforted me. Trav, don't be sad. Your mom will return to your side eventually. How could a person just vanish from this world for no rhyme or reason? She must be hiding somewhere. Trust me, I will definitely reunite you two. I smirked, just as she said. I was genuinely about to be reunited with my mom. Early the next morning, a knock on the door woke me up. Sister Lillian. Kyle stood outside the door, lugging a suitcase. He widened his big round puppy dog eyes and acted cute. Sister Lillian, my house has mice, so I'm too scared to stay there. Can I crash at your place for a few days? Without even using a brain cell, Lillian flat out rejected him. No way. Trav doesn't like strangers in the house. Go book a hotel. Kyle's face immediately dropped, he cried, his eye sockets flooding with water. If you don't let me stay, I'll tell my big sister. You promised her you'd take good care of me. Lillian maintained an impartial, ironclad expression. Kyle, don't be unreasonable. Perhaps realizing Lillian was a brick wall, Kyle immediately shifted his pitiful gaze to me. Brother Trav, please let me stay for a few days. I promise I won't be a nuisance to you. I raised my eyes and looked at him. Do whatever. Hearing this, Kyle instantly cheered, dragging his suitcase into the house. He casually walked over and plopped down at the dining table. Looking at the sandwiches on the table, his eyes sparkled. Sister Lillian, did you make all of this? You're so amazing! Lillian harshly swatted his restless hand away. She pushed the plate toward me. If you want to eat, tell the maid to make you some. I only cook for my Trav. The corners of Kyle's mouth drooped, and he walked into the kitchen looking wronged. I glanced at the breakfast on the table, but didn't move my chopsticks. Lillian immediately noticed. Trav, why aren't you eating? Does my cooking not suit your taste? I shook my head slightly, pulling a random excuse out of thin air. I just kind of want those shrimp dumplings from the east side of town. Lillian immediately grabbed her car keys. I'll go buy them right now. Hearing this, Kyle hastily put down the plate in his hand, skipping happily right behind her. The food here doesn't suit my taste either. I want to go out and eat too. Half an hour passed and Lillian still hadn't returned. I had a premonition. I took out my phone and opened the dashcam app. In the confined space of the car, the two people who were just acting tense were at this very moment hugging, laughing, and chatting intimately. Isn't this what you wanted? Moving into my house in broad daylight. You just want to cling to me. Remember this well. You are just my stress relief toy. Trav is my absolute bottom line. If you dare throw a tantrum about our little arrangement in front of him, you'll face the consequences yourself. Right after Lillian said this, Kyle in the video let out a dramatic sob. I was just being delusional. I know your heart only beats for Brother Trav, but I still refuse to give up. I just have to stick to you. Making you do this kind of stuff every day. Do you think I want it to be like this? If I wasn't so crazy about you, why would I degrade myself like this? Seeing him crying a literal river, Lillian's movements suddenly paused. I can't even say one word to you, huh? Such a diva. Didn't you say you only wanted my body and didn't need my heart anymore? Kyle didn't say anything. Instead, he cried even harder. Helpless. Lillian finally leaned over, kissing away the teardrops on his face one by one. Be a good boy. Be good now. What present do you want? I'll buy it for you. Kyle, looking wronged, pointed at the corner. I want the breakfast you just bought for him. Lillian frowned. Can't we change it to something else? I only want this. Seeing his aggrieved face starting to leak tears again, Lillian was truly out of options. She could only yield to him. I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't cry, okay? Good boy, give me a kiss. Even though I had known about their relationship for a while, but when I actually witnessed this scene with my own eyes, I still felt a soul-ripping, lung-tearing pain. I bit my lip hard, but still couldn't stop the choked-up sounds from escaping my throat. Lillian, oh Lillian, when you were 15, you were the one who stuttered a confession to me, saying I was the only boy who ever made your heart flutter. When you were 22, you were also the one holding the ring, dropping to one knee, vowing your lifelong love in front of me, saying it would only be reserved for me. Turns out your entire life only lasted a few years. My sharp fingernails dug into my skin, tearing it. Fresh blood seeped out, but my knuckles continued to apply force. The wound kept digging deeper. It seemed like this was the only way. I could barely suppress the bone-deep agony in my heart. I sat bolt upright at the dining table, unmoving, tears falling like rain. I didn't know how much time had passed. The phone screen returned to normal. A moment later, Lillian, fully clothed and looking put together, pushed the door open and walked in. Trav, I'm home. Her gentle voice suddenly died in her throat. After seeing my tear-soaked face, her heart clenched. She instantly dashed in front of me. Trav, why are you crying? I tried to rein in my emotions, pulling out a tissue. My voice was hoarse. It's nothing. I just watched a really sad TV drama and cried. Lillian hurriedly, gently wiping away my tears, her eyes overflowing with heartache. What kind of movie made you cry this hard? Do you want me to watch it with you? Lillian paused for a second, then affectionately rubbed my head. Okay, let me see it. I'll have someone download this movie later. Who dares to make my baby cry? Saying that, she reached out to grab my phone, but the very second she was about to unlock it, I suddenly spoke up. The shrimp dumplings you bought. Lillian's hand froze for a split second. Then she immediately and anxiously hugged me, apologizing profusely. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Trav. When I got there, they were already sold out and closed. I'll go buy them for you tomorrow, okay? Before she even finished her sentence, Kyle strolled in, swinging a takeout bag. He held it up with a smug face. These shrimp dumplings. I managed to snag the last portion. Does Brother Trav want? My eyes stared dead straight at his collar. The silver necklace Kyle was currently wearing looked exactly like the necklace my mom left me. Seems like Lillian stayed up late picking out a matching design for me, preparing to coax me into a good mood. But Kyle only had to use a little trick, act a little cute, and she just gave it to him. Noticing my stare, Kyle directly stepped forward, pulling the necklace up to show off to me. Smiling, he asked, "Is this necklace pretty, brother? I just bought it too, Brother Trav. Do you think it suits me?" I stared intently at it for a long time before smiling, laughing until tears came out. "It doesn't suit you at all." After saying that, I didn't stick around to look at their expressions. I turned around and headed upstairs. That night, I forced down a few bites of rice and went back to my room. The moment I sat down, I felt a severe cramp in my lower abdomen. 40 seconds, 100. I had absolutely zero strength left. I collapsed onto the sofa. Cold sweat slowly seeped out of my body, quickly soaking my wool sweater. Lillian hurriedly came upstairs. Seeing me in such agony, she knew my stomach ulcer was acting up. She rushed downstairs to brew some herbal medicine and brought it up, spoon-feeding me sip by sip. She then gave me my pills, warmed her hands and gently massaged my stomach. She held me, wishing she could take this pain upon herself. Her heartbroken gaze looked ready to spill over. "Be good now. Let's not have kids in the future, okay? I'm scared that if we have kids, they'll be as frail and sickly as you. I only need to pamper you and that's enough." I lifted my face, which was as pale as a sheet of paper, quietly looking at her. My voice was incredibly weak. If we don't have kids, what will your parents think of me? Who cares what they think? Nothing is more important than you. If they keep pressuring me, then I'd rather leave the Lillian family and forfeit all my inheritance rights. As she made this grand declaration, she passionately kissed my neck. Trav, I told you, I only have you in this life. I haven't pampered you enough yet. You are my baby. I'll spoil you for a lifetime. Every single word felt sincere and earnest, so incredibly desperate. I almost believed it. Thinking about the videos I watched this morning, I only felt a chilling creepiness. Clearly, the love she had for me wasn't fake. But why could she do things that hurt me so much? I shed a tear, burying half my face in the pillow. My consciousness grew increasingly blurry, and at some point I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was already midnight. I blindly patted the bed and realized no one was beside me. I struggled to sit up, grabbing a cup, intending to go downstairs for water. But the moment I stepped, I heard rhythmic creaking sounds coming from the room next door. Creak! The study door was slightly ajar. I tiptoed over and saw the two of them entangled on the desk. Lillian's pale skin was illuminated under the lamp. Her face was flushed, panting heavily, fingers constantly scratching the desk surface. Scratching Lillian. Sister, isn't your brother having a stomachache? Why aren't you watching over him, but came here to tease me instead? Shut up. Lillian intentionally lowered her voice. But the rhythmic movements below didn't stop for a second. This unexpected scene hit my chest like a heavy boulder, making every single breath I took turn into a lung-shredding agony. Could she really not hold back that much? She always wanted to do the horizontal tango with Kyle. Opening my eyes wide, I had no mind left for drinking water. I staggered back to my room. Half an hour later, the bedroom door was pushed open. Lillian, freshly showered, lay down beside me, reaching out to pull me into her embrace. Good boy, Trav, wifey is here, no more pain. I didn't answer her. I closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep, but tears streamed down my cheeks, soaking my sideburns. The person behind me thought I was asleep. She continued to gently massage my stomach. I felt the warmth, the scorching heat from her fingertips. My entire body felt drained of all strength, leaving only an endless abyss of pain. I counted down the time in my head, over and over again. Only 13 days left. Just endure it a little longer. Just 13 more days. This woman and I will have absolutely nothing to do with each other anymore. During the days I was sick, Lillian canceled all her work. She stayed home by my side until I gradually recovered. Only then did she reluctantly let go of me, heading to the company to handle the backlog of work, preparing to cancel my household registration. The staff member looked a bit awkward. Sir, only someone who is deceased can process this paperwork. I nodded. I will completely depart from this world in 10 days. I'm just asking you to process the paperwork for me in advance. The staff member probably thought I had terminal cancer. Showing a look of pity, they finally processed it for me, holding the stamped documents. I breathed a sigh of relief, revealing a smile of liberation. Very soon, the person known as Travis will no longer exist in this world, and Lillian will never be able to find Travis again. I took a leisurely walk home along that street, until I passed by our old high school. I looked at the high, yellowing walls. My stiff body walked inside anyway. The moment I stepped in, countless youthful memories flooded back. She dragged me to run the entire 800 meters track. While I was sleeping, she secretly kissed me in the library, passing snacks to me through the classroom window. There wasn't a single spot I passed where I couldn't recall. Tons of memories related to Lillian. Finally, I stopped next to a large tree in the garden, looking at the pine tree that used to only reach my shoulders. Now, grown as tall as a pillar, my eyes gradually grew damp. The year I was 16. To prepare a surprise for me, Lillian pulled the main power switch for the teaching building, then led me outside. She brought me under this very tree to celebrate and give me a birthday present, gifting me the climbing roses I loved the most, singing happy birthday to me. And finally, looking completely serious, she buried a letter under this tree. At the time, I wanted to see the contents of the letter. She just laughed and rubbed her nose against mine. Trav, this is a secret. Wait until we're 80 years old, when our hair is all white. I'll bring you back here, and we'll read this letter together, okay? Nobody could have predicted back then that in this lifetime we wouldn't be able to grow white hair together anymore. I crouched down, using a rock to dig up the dirt bit by bit, digging for over 10 minutes. I finally unearthed a sealed glass jar. The ink on the paper had already faded, but I could still see it was from Lillian. Hello, 80-year-old Lillian. I am 17-year-old Lillian. At this exact moment, you must be reading this letter with Trav, right? Are your kids and grandkids surrounding you too? Me, I am so thrilled. From 17 to 80. You have loved him for so many years. You kept your original promise, protecting him for all these years. This is my lifelong wish. I'm so glad you accomplished it. People say true hearts are fickle, but Lillian's love for Travis will never change. Please tell Trav, this life isn't the end. In the next life, and the life after that, and the life after that, I still want to be with Trav. Lillian and Travis, we still have to love each other for a very long time. Densely packed over the whole page, I read it line by line. Looking at this overflowing deep affection, I only felt my eyes growing damp and a violent pain in my heart. Suddenly, the phone in my pocket rang. It was Kyle calling. I didn't want to see it, so I turned it off. But the other party was persistent, not stopping, calling continuously, non-stop. I had a feeling about what it was, so I almost tremblingly pressed the answer button. Sure enough, Through the speaker, the sound of heavy, rhythmic collisions quickly transmitted. Sister Lillian, didn't you say you didn't love me? Then why are you in such a hurry to bounce on top of me like this? Lillian didn't answer him. There was only the sound of extremely suppressed heavy breathing. Sister, Kyle, unwilling to let it go, clung to her, insisting on getting an answer out of her. You really can't bear to leave my body, right? Right? I understand your desires way better than Brother Trav, right? You can't leave me, right? You miss me. Going one day without rolling in the sheets with me makes you go crazy, right? Every single word pushed Lillian into a corner. Finally, she gave him the exact answer he wanted. I can't resist you. The phone call was abruptly cut off. Looking at the black screen, my hand holding the letter trembled. Suddenly, through a hazy mist of tears, I seemed to see the 17-year-old the teenage girl in her blue and white school uniform, standing under the sycamore tree, as beautiful as moonlight, her eyes red, looking at me with heartbreak, saying something over and over again. Tears blurred my vision. No, I couldn't see clearly. I could only rely on reading her lips to confirm, time and time again, until I finally understood the sentence she was trying to tell me. Trav, don't forgive her right now. All my emotions seemed to shatter in an instant. The pain radiating from my heart was excruciating, making me gasp for air in fits. It hurt so much I had to double over. Finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I clenched my fists, crouched on the ground, and wailed, Lillian, I don't forgive you. I will never forgive you. For several days in a row, Lillian didn't come home, until our 4th wedding anniversary. As soon as I woke up, I saw Lillian. Trav, she said respectfully. CEO Lillian has been preparing a celebration banquet these past few days. Please, you must attend tonight. I listened in silence, not saying a single word. 3 days of Maya. Was it to prepare a surprise for our anniversary? Or was she busy doing bedroom gymnastics with a certain someone? I didn't know, and I didn't want to ask. When evening came, I changed into the outfit she had prepared, following the secretary to the banquet venue. Lillian was already waiting at the door. The moment she saw me, she took off her own coat and draped it over my shoulders. She linked her arm with mine and quickly walked toward the main hall. Arriving, she didn't even bother greeting the nearby guests, prompting the ladies to voice their playful complaints. The moment the husband arrives, everyone else ceases to exist in her eyes. Look at this hopeless romantic, ladies. Every anniversary is as grand as a wedding. Boss Lily, you keep repeating this, making the rest of us sisters look bad. Who says otherwise? My family nags me every single day, telling me to learn from you, but our niece over here doesn't have a romantic bone in her body like Boss Lily. Hearing the sisters teasing, Lillian gave a slight smirk. You guys couldn't learn this even if you tried. In this world, there isn't a second person who loves this guy as much as I do. Facing the stares coming from all 8 directions of the party, I, however, showed zero reaction. For the entire evening, I used the excuse of being cold to sit on the sofa. I watched Lillian bend down, fixing my tie with utmost seriousness. Watched her walk through the crowd, holding a wine glass, accepting everyone's congratulations. Watched her occasionally handing me a few delicious desserts. Everything was exactly the same as last year, but only I knew that everything was completely different now. Exactly at 8 p.m., the banquet finally reached its climax. A 5-meter-tall castle cake was rolled out. Lillian held my hand, walking me into the spotlight, under the attention of 10,000 people. The waiter brought up the gift she had prepared. It was a document folder. Facing the puzzled looks of the guests at the venue, Lillian loudly declared, this year's 4th wedding anniversary gift is 70% of the shares of the Lillian Group that I currently hold. I am transferring all of it to Trav. So starting today, Trav is the true person in power at the Lillian Group. From now on, I am just a subordinate working for him. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire hall gasped. No one expected that Lillian would go this far for me. People couldn't stop sighing. Oh my God. CDO Lillian isn't leaving herself an ounce of a backup plan. This is loving too much. Mr. Travis must have saved the entire galaxy in his past life to marry such a good wife in this one. Everyone envied me, but my face remained expressionless. I decisively took the pen and signed the contract. Lillian was the only one who noticed my anomaly. In the past, every time she gave me a gift, my face would be plastered with a sweet and joyful expression. A cold attitude like this was a rare sight. A flash of panic swept through her heart. She was just about to ask me why I was unhappy, or if this gift wasn't to my liking, but I beat her to the punch. It's a bit. I saw Kyle walking toward me. Perhaps this was the surprise Lillian prepared for him. That caused him to completely snap. He completely dropped his act, not even bothering to fake it anymore. Travis, that phone call I made to you last time. You heard it, right? I heard it. Why didn't you confront her, and why didn't you leave? Still staying by Sister Lillian's side, I admit, today Sister Lillian prepared a huge surprise for you, but that's nothing more than out of guilt. If she really loved you to death, she wouldn't even spare a glance at me. Let me tell you, I've rolled in the sheets with her 1,000 times. Do you know what that number means? It means that while you were clueless, she was always tangled up with me, anywhere, anytime. You just happened to meet her a few years earlier than me. What's there to be so smug about? There will come a day when I prove to you that both Sister Lillian's body and heart will belong to me. I listened quietly, my face devoid of any expression. I turned around to leave, but Kyle completely lost his mind. He grabbed my arm tightly. Travis, how about we make a bet? Let's see who Sister Lillian cares about more. Do you dare? Kyle yanked me like a madman, dragging me to jump into the pool. The winter water temperature was nearing 0 degrees. My clothes were bulky and heavy. They soaked up water like they were stuffed with lead, dragging me down. I struggled desperately, but couldn't fight against the downward gravity. My body trembled uncontrollably. Just as the strength in my body was about to run out, Lillian frantically ran over, spotting the commotion here. Seeing the two people flailing in the pool, her heart pounded wildly, and she dove headfirst into the water. Kyle was also freezing and losing his strength. He looked at the person swimming toward him, crying and calling out, "Sister Lillian!" Lillian, however, didn't even pay attention to him, frantically screaming my name, desperately swimming toward me in the distance. "Trav!" She pulled me up and tightly hugged my "Trav, wake up, be good, don't scare me." She looked genuinely terrified. Her eyes were red, hugging me so tightly that even her voice choked up. Waiting until the staff heard the news, rushed over and brought dry towels. Lillian tremblingly wiped the water off me, while yelling at everyone to hurry and call an ambulance. My entire body was purple from the cold. My consciousness wasn't very clear either, but right before I passed out, the last image I saw was Kyle being pulled up by security, his face shifting between white and blue, tears in his eyes, looking somewhat ridiculous. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital bed. The nurse saw me awake. While taking my temperature, she babbled nonstop. "Mr. Travis, you're finally awake. If you had slept for a few more hours, Miss Lillian probably would have summoned every doctor in the world here." "Right. We all told her you were just overtired, but Miss Lillian stubbornly refused to believe it. She insisted on making us do a full body scan on you." But I didn't take the nurse's words to heart. I propped up my slightly jelly-like body, planning to slowly sit up. Lillian happened to return and saw me awake. She was overjoyed, lunging to hug me, burying her head in my neck, her voice full of lingering fear. "Trav, you're finally awake. Do you have any idea you scared me half to death? If anything happened to you, I wouldn't be able to live either." My body stiffened for a second. I didn't say anything, just letting her hug me like that, until Lillian's phone rang. She reluctantly let go, picked up the phone, took one glance, her expression changed, hesitating for a few seconds. She planted a kiss on my forehead. "Trav, you rest up and get better, okay? I need to go handle some work for a bit." Hearing my Lillian quickly left. I quietly got out of bed and silently followed her. I saw with my own eyes Lillian heading up to the 6th floor, entering the VIP ward next to the stairs. Through the unclosed curtains, I saw Kyle. He was throwing a tantrum, chucking cups and fruit everywhere. As soon as Lillian walked in, she pulled him into a hug, her voice carrying a hint of annoyance. "What kind of tantrum are you throwing now? I've told you countless times, I don't love you. I only have Trav in my heart. He was in danger. Of course I had to save him. You don't love me? But you've slept with me so many times. You don't love me? The second you got my text, you rushed right over here. Lillian, I hate you. You don't love me, right? Fine, then I won't love you either. I'll go find someone else to have fun with." Lillian's face instantly dropped, darkly pulling him back. "Don't you dare." Kyle didn't lie. He just kept wiping his tears, crying even harder. Seeing him crying so hard, his eyes were puffy. Lillian sighed, finally helplessly hugging him to her chest. Fine. Don't cry anymore. This time I was wrong. Whatever you ask for, I'll agree to it, okay?" Only then did Kyle stop sobbing. "Then I want you to agree to 3 things. Lillian's voice was cold, but carried an unconcealed sense of spoiling him. "Spit it out. For the next few days, you're not allowed to go see brother, okay? Second, I have a dance party in a few days. You have to go with me as my girlfriend. Third, I want you to propose to me once, okay? You personally put a diamond ring on me and say you'll love me forever." Hearing this, Lillian stayed silent. Kyle started crying again. "I didn't say you had to do it for real. I know you won't leave brother Trav. I just want the person I love the most to propose to me once. Even a fake one is fine. Is that not allowed either?" His tears had completely demolished her final line of defense. A long while later, I heard her deep, pampering voice ring out, "Fine, whatever you say." She kissed him lightly. Very quickly, the two of them in the hospital room started making out again. Lips and tongues intertwined. I could already predict what spicy extracurriculars would happen next. I turned around trembling and silently left. For the next few days, Lillian truly didn't show up, only occasionally sending a text saying she was on a business trip. I didn't reply with a single word. She didn't have any reaction either. If it were in the past, she definitely would have noticed something was off, and then relentlessly ran over to find me. But now she only cared about Kyle. Sometimes, when the nurse took me for checkups, they would gossip with the doctors about some tea going around the hospital. I heard the entire 6th floor got booked by some mysterious sugar mama, all for some boy. Without notice, nobody's allowed up there. These past few days, people keep delivering all sorts of luxury goods and jewelry up there. Wonder who hit the jackpot like that. I listened quietly. I opened my phone, looking at the pictures Kyle had been sending me these past few days. A long row of luxury shoes, a high... "Trav, you're being discharged this afternoon. I'll have the secretary pick you up. I'm abroad and still have some business to handle. I won't be able to come back until the day after tomorrow." Since when was the 6th floor of Yahello Hospital considered abroad? Looking at it over and over, I quietly laughed until I cried. Then I looked at the painting on the table. 17, 10, 2, checkmate. I am completely liberated, only 3 days left. Countdown. Day 3. I took a trip to the psychiatric hospital, looking at Thomas. Haven't seen him in 3 years, and he's aged a lot. His hair is completely white. His pupils are cloudy. He didn't even recognize his own son. Separated by a glass window, I looked at this man, the sinner who caused me to lose my mom since childhood. I couldn't help but ask the mastermind a question. Do you regret it? Thomas didn't understand what I was asking at all. He shook his head, then nodded. Finally, I gave him one last look and left. Just as I walked out the door, I saw Lillian waiting outside. The moment she saw me, she quickly ran up, draped a coat over me, while grabbing my hand and stuffing it in her pocket to warm it up. Good boy, why did you think of coming here today? And you didn't even call me. What if you catch a cold? Staring at her, I opened my mouth with zero expression. I dreamed of my mom yesterday. She asked me to come see what kind of ending betrayers finally get. Hearing this sentence, a flash of panic quickly darted through Lillian's eyes. Her throat bobbed, but she quickly regained control of her emotions, smiling dotingly. Done looking? Let's go home. I bought you a lot of gifts from abroad this time. See if you like them. The two of us didn't linger, got in the car and went home. Just happened to see Kyle carrying his luggage downstairs. Seeing me, he smiled sweetly, then handed me a gift box. Brother Trav, I have to move out now. I really bothered you by staying at your house these past few days. This is for the days you were in the hospital. I meticulously chose this gift for you. I'm sure you'll love it. He emphasized the last sentence with a hidden meaning. Before I even had a chance to speak, Lillian reached out and grabbed Kyle's suitcase. Trav, I'll drop him off. Otherwise, his sister will give me an earful. You be a good boy and stay home. I'll come back and keep you company as soon as I'm done, okay? I didn't say anything. Just quietly watched their retreating figures leave, until the car completely disappeared from sight. I finally reached out and slowly opened Kyle's gift. The moment the lid cracked open, a strong smell of latex and strange fluids hit my nose. My hand paused for a few seconds before lifting the lid off completely. Densely packed used party balloons filled the box. 1, 2, 3, 36 of them. During the days I was hospitalized, Lillian and Kyle had done the horizontal tango, a grand total of 36 times. I thought I would be in so much pain, but in the end I just chuckled and then burst into tears. I looked out the window. Snow was falling heavily from the sky. I put this box away, placed it in Lillian's study, in a spot where she would see it the exact second she got back. Countdown. Day 2. Lillian still hasn't come home, but I know she went to the dance party today. Playing Kyle's temporary girlfriend, I didn't ask about her whereabouts. I hired some cleaners to scrub the house top to bottom, nor would I have any lingering attachments. Night fell and the snow started again. I sat in front of the fireplace, editing 2 video clips. The first video was from all these years. All the romantic couple videos Lillian and I filmed. The second video was the spicy bedroom tapes Kyle sent me during this period with Lillian. By the time I finished editing, it was already morning. I sent these 2 videos to the business manager of the Central Plaza, paid a hefty sum. Hello, please play these 2 videos back to back, on a loop tomorrow. Countdown, the final day. The moment I opened my eyes, I saw Lillian. She kissed my cheek, her voice full of joy. Trav, happy birthday. Only then did I remember. Turns out today is my 26th birthday. What a coincidence. This is also the day I completely vanish from her world. Looking at the freshly decorated living room and the giant birthday cake, I let out a laugh. Doesn't it get exhausting putting on an act every single day? Just finished hooking up with Kyle and came home to relentlessly love me without taking a breath. I sat up. You've been so busy with work lately. Do you even have time to celebrate my birthday with me? Lillian reached out to rub my head, her eyes curving into a smile. Trav, what are you saying? You clearly know that no one in this entire world can compare to you, and on your birthday, even if the sky falls down, I'd still be by your side, right? I let out a laugh, saying nothing. For that entire day, Lillian was bustling around in the kitchen, from fruits to drinks, from main courses to desserts. She made everything single-handedly. Suddenly, the cell phone Lillian left on the table started ringing out of nowhere. I took one glance and saw a text from Kyle. It was a selfie. He was wearing a French maid outfit in front of a mirror, along with a sentence guaranteed to make one's Today is your safe day, sister. We don't need to use protection today. I gave it a look and put the phone back where it was. 6:30 p.m. 20 dishes were fully prepped on the table. Lillian waved at me. Come here like a good boy. Wifey wants to wish you a happy birthday. I stood up and walked over. After sitting down, I casually handed her the phone. Your phone wouldn't stop buzzing earlier. Lillian smiled. No need to pay attention to it. But the moment she unlocked the screen and saw the content on it, her eyes darkened. Her breathing suddenly grew a few degrees heavier. I quietly watched her for 1 second, 2 seconds. After 3 seconds of silence, she put the phone away. Her face displayed a guilty look toward me. Trav, something came up at the company. I need to go take a look. Can you eat by yourself first? I'll be back in 2 hours. Can 2 hours even satisfy him? Lillian didn't hear clearly and asked, what was that? I smiled. It's nothing. Go ahead. Go find him. You have no idea. Today is the absolute last day you and I will be together. The 15-year-old Lillian won me over, but the 27-year-old Lillian is going to lose me forever. I watched her drive away. Then I slowly walked out the door. There was a lot of blood pooling on the ground. I took every step with great difficulty, step by step, walking towards the giant screen in the city center. I raised my wrist to check the time one last time, sent a message to the manager. It's time. You can hit play 7 p.m. The giant screen in the center suddenly started playing. The video, the first image that popped up, immediately grabbed the attention of everyone in the plaza, making them stop in their tracks. I stood watching from afar, holding out my hand. Half a snowflake landed in my palm, transparent and purely white. At that exact moment, that cold robotic voice commencing countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2. After the countdown finished, a violent gust of wind blew through, kicking up countless snowflakes, engulfing the entire street. 3 minutes later, the howling wind and heavy snow completely stopped, and in the spot where I originally stood, not a single soul remained. The wind came and went. The snow flew as always. When I opened my eyes, I realized I had left that street. I was standing in front of an unfamiliar villa. The house number plate read 112138. Looking at this familiar string of numbers, I slightly blanked out. The next second, a voice, both familiar and foreign, came from behind me. "Is that little Trav?" I turned my head and saw a face I had dreamed of countless times. The mother I hadn't seen in 20 years was now standing right in front of me. That smiling face hadn't changed at all despite the years. The moment she saw me, Hazel also froze. "Trav!" Hearing my mom call my name, I couldn't hold it back anymore, rushing forward to throw my arms around her. Hazel opened her arms and hugged me tightly. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks, dropping right between my eyebrows, mixing with another hot tear and falling into the snow. The swirling snowflakes fell heavier and heavier. Hazel finally snapped back to reality. She grabbed my hand, returning to the house that used to only have her, now belonging to us, mother and son. The warmth inside the room gradually chased away the cold on my body. Hazel put down the cake box she was holding, grabbed a blanket for me, and went back into the kitchen. I followed her in, watching my mom grab a rolling pin and start making longevity noodles. The grievance I had just suppressed surged up again. "Mom, I want 2 sunny-side-up eggs." Hearing this sentence again, Hazel's eyes reddened, but she looked a bit dazed for a moment. I still couldn't believe I had actually returned to my mom's side. I had to turn around, seeing me helping her wash vegetables next to her. Did she finally feel a sense of reality? Her hand movements unconsciously sped up a bit. 10 minutes later, 2 steaming bowls of noodles were brought to the table. I unboxed the cake, lit the candles, then sang happy birthday to myself with my mom and made a wish. I wished for my mom to be healthy, to live to be 100 years old, and to never ever be separated from her again. I silently repeated this sentence 3 times in my heart, then opened my eyes. Seeing those eyes overflowing with love and guilt, I hurriedly cut a piece of cake and handed it to my mom. "I'm 26 years old. We've finally reunited. This is so good. So good," Hazel mumbled, repeating it once, handing me a pair of chopsticks, her voice still carrying a hint of being choked up. "Hurry and eat your noodles. See if your mom's cooking skills have gone downhill." I was still just like when I was a kid, finishing 1 egg first before picking up the noodles. The soft, chewy noodles entered my mouth, carrying the aroma of beef bone broth, instantly awakening my long-forgotten taste buds. I took 1 bite, then another, quickly devouring a massive bowl of longevity noodles. Not even a single drop of broth was left. After finishing the last remaining egg, I took the napkin my mom handed me, my eyes sparkling with happiness. It's still that childhood taste. "Mom, I've missed this taste for a really long time." Seeing me act all cute and spoiled, Hazel wiped her tears again, finally breaking into a smile. "As long as you like it, Mom will make it for you every single day from now on. Deal? We'll eat it again tomorrow. Let's eat the cake first today, okay? Is this frosting sweet? Sweet but not cloying? It's the chocolate flavor I love the most. You try a bite." The snowstorm outside the window gradually cleared. The lights on the trees also slowly turned off. I snuggled into my mom's embrace. Neither mother nor son could sleep. We talked about random things, jumping from topic to topic. "Mom, tell me what you've been doing all these years. I missed you a few times a day. I bought you a cake, see? Did you prepare a present for me too?" By the time dawn broke, the snowstorm that had lasted 2 days and 2 nights finally stopped. Lillian finally escaped the nightmare that had left her terrified. She opened her eyes, wiping the cold sweat off her forehead, looking at the gray sky outside the window, panting heavily. The second hand on the wall ticked forward. She stabilized her mood, opened her phone, and realized it was already 5 a.m. Kyle, who was beside her, was woken up by the light. Groggily opening his eyes, he glued himself to her. 2 completely naked bodies brushed against each other. Lillian's body instantly reacted. Kyle noticed it too. A pair of pale hands caressed his body. His sweet voice murmured, "Up so early? Sister Lillian, aren't we?" But Lillian didn't give him what he wanted. Instead, she swatted his hands away, got out of bed, and walked into the bathroom. Hearing the sound of running water, Kyle completely snapped awake, impatiently turning on the lights. The room was a total disaster zone, clothes scattered everywhere, the air still lingering with the scent of their spicy activities. The moment he saw this scene, he recalled the absurd events of last night. The corners of his eyebrows lifted in a smug expression. He picked up Lillian's phone, tossed onto the bed, typed in my birthday, and easily unlocked the passcode. The screen switched to the WeChat interface, looking at the message he sent at 11 p.m. last night, which received no reply. The corners of Kyle's mouth curled. He knew yesterday was my birthday. That's why he used this trick to lure Lillian over. Because of his meticulous preparations, it dragged on until 11 p.m. After 11, Lillian absolutely refused to stay, so he made a bet, with her saying I was definitely already asleep, and going back to celebrate my birthday would be too late anyway, so she sent a text over. By 12 a.m., there was still no reply. Only then did she decide to sleep over at his place. In reality, I didn't sleep a wink. I was just afraid she was doing the exact same thing, not sleeping all night. Anyway, every half an hour, Kyle would send his battle reports over, inviting me to enjoy the show. On the very first day of my 26th year, watching my own wife doing the horizontal tango with another man in the video. With those moaning sounds, what normal person could possibly sleep? Just thinking about how heartbroken I was at home, yet having to put on an act and pretend I didn't know anything. Kyle felt it. Hearing the noise from the bathroom, he took a soft breath. He hurriedly stood up, casually grabbed a sheer dress shirt from the closet, put it on and waited by the door for Lillian to come out. He instantly threw himself into her arms. "Lillian, sister, sleep a little longer. Have breakfast with me later, okay?" Lillian shoved him away with a cold face, grabbed a clean set of clothes from the closet, changed and walked out the door. Seeing her not uttering a single word, turning around and leaving, Kyle furrowed his brows. Everything was fine. Why was she suddenly pissed off? After a night of heavy snow, the roads were completely frozen. The driver didn't dare to drive too fast. Lillian sat in the back, constantly massaging her temples. She tried to banish those gloomy images out of her head, but the more she tried to forget, the clearer she remembered them. She was truly out of options and could only take out her phone to distract herself. After a few hours, WeChat suddenly had nearly 100 new messages, all sent by relatives and friends, playfully teasing and praising her for being so romantic, preparing such a massive surprise for her husband. What surprise? Lillian was clueless, looking at the identical links they sent. She dazedly clicked on one. It was a trending hashtag. Wealthy couple flaunts massive birthday affection. The video was being projected on the giant screen in the central plaza. The video had been playing on a loop all night. In the video, the main characters were none other than Lillian and me. It was the entire process, documenting our 11 years of love. These videos and photos were only in my possession. Was it a surprise that I edited and prepared but couldn't send? Recalling the absurdity of last night and the forgotten birthday, Lillian's heart was invaded by a sense of crushing guilt. She covered her face, full of regret, anxiously telling the driver, "Go to the central plaza." It should have been a time with very few pedestrians, but the central plaza was packed with a massive crowd. They were all shippers of our couple, who heard the news last night and came to check in, waiting until the main character appeared. Everyone immediately started screaming, "Boss Lily, where's Trav? Didn't he come to check in with you? Please pass a message to Trav for us. Wish him a happy 26th birthday. We will grow old with Boss Lily right by his side. Happy 4th wedding anniversary to you two." Hearing the tidal wave of blessings, Lillian hurriedly waved at everyone. She looked up at the images playing on the screen. A few buried memories in her brain slowly resurfaced with every scene, all proving the heavy storms we weathered together in the past, the high mountains we conquered together, the moments we raised our glasses in celebration. Watching it over and over, Lillian couldn't help but smile along with her past self in the video. Smiling in this exact moment, she found that blushing, heart-fluttering feeling again. From when she first got together with me, she couldn't wait to call me, wanting to share her current mood with me. But after calling 4 or 5 times in a row, it just went to voicemail. Lillian suddenly felt a bit of panic. The time shifted from 6:59 to 7. The video in the central plaza perfectly reached its end. Just as everyone thought it was going to loop from the beginning again, the image abruptly switched. Through the loudspeakers across the plaza, a woman's voice rang out. Simultaneously on the screen appeared a man and a woman without a single scrap of clothing on, engaging in a very private adult anatomy lesson. This sudden spicy broadcast made the entire plaza and the live streams absolutely boil over. Lillian only needed one glance to recognize the main characters on the screen were herself and Kyle. Her face instantly drained of all color, turning. A loud boom went off in her head. All logic and reason collapsed in a fraction of a second. As for the crowd that was just watching for the fun of it, after clearly seeing the faces of the male and female leads on the screen, they all revealed expressions of utter shock. Everyone shifted their gaze towards Lillian. In the plaza, chaos erupted. 7:05 a.m. The hashtag Lillian cheating skyrocketed to the top of the trending list. 7:10 a.m. The Weibo app crashed. 7:20 a.m. The video had played for 20 minutes in the plaza. All illusions were shattered as the screen went black. At 7:30 a.m., the Lillian group issued a press release, claiming that the 5-hour-long video was maliciously deepfaked by someone. And during this half hour, Lillian drove like a maniac, speeding back home. There was only one thought left in her head. She had to suppress this scandal before I woke up. She raced home, pushing the door open, and immediately saw that one meat, having been heated by the fireplace all night, the frosting had completely melted, dripping onto the table, drop by drop, pooling on the floor into a river of white. The food on the table had all gone cold, still laid out perfectly in its original place. That dead, suffocating silence made Lillian's uneasy heart beat faster and faster. She walked through the living room, lightly, step by step, slowly going upstairs. The bedroom was also incredibly quiet. Looking at the perfectly made, flat, king-sized bed, Lillian's heart nearly stopped beating. Her brain short-circuited for a second, before quickly rebooting and running again. A massive surge of adrenaline caused her pupils to shrink to the absolute limit. She only had one final thought left. I'm screwed. I'm really screwed. I slept until 11 a.m. before waking up. Mom was sitting on the sofa knitting a scarf. Seeing me awake, she immediately told someone to heat up breakfast and bring it over. I washed up and leisurely drank my porridge, while watching the scarf gradually taking shape in my mom's hands. Mom, is this for me? Mom smiled. Wait until you're done eating, I'll show you another bedroom. When I had to come back to this world and bought this villa, the first thing I did was prepare a room for you. Saying that, she opened a wardrobe. Inside hung rows of shoes, clothes, bags. There were also gloves Mom knit herself, a scarf, hats. On the vanity it was also packed with cosmetics and skincare products from brand names. All the newest models, unopened in the display cabinet, were meticulously wrapped gift boxes, 20 of them, representing the birthday gifts for my 25 missed years. This empty bedroom had never been lived in by anyone, but it was always kept clean and bright, fully stocked with everything, always waiting for its owner to return. Seeing this warm, bright room, my nose stung. Turns out when I missed my mom, she was thinking of me too. Mom had always been waiting for me to come to this world. Thank God I didn't let her down. I nestled into my mom's warm embrace, shedding tears of happiness. Mom, do you blame me for not coming to find you all these years? Hazel gently patted my back, softly coaxing me, her voice overflowing with love. You don't even blame me for leaving you behind. How could I ever blame you? Mom, no matter what world you're in, as long as you're healthy and happy, I'm happy for you. You are my child. I only need you to be happy, to forever be free and be yourself. Before I even finished eating, Hazel took me to her company, processed my onboarding paperwork, and announced my identity to all the employees. Looking at the mother and son with identical faces, the employees below whispered and gossiped. I heard CEO Hazel's son finally showed up. They look so alike. No wonder. CEO Hazel handed out such massive red envelopes today, and even said we're getting a day off to celebrate. Turns out the heir has returned. Little CEO Hazel will take over for CEO Hazel in the future, huh? Looking at the company my mom built single-handedly, and the employees who had fought alongside her for over 15 years, I was truly proud of my mom. Last night, Mom and I talked about my future plans. Mom asked what I wanted to do. I had never thought about this question before. Previously, I only wanted to be a house husband, wait for my wife to have kids, and live a peaceful, stable life. But after going through the disaster of my marriage, I gradually realized the happy, fulfilling life I was chasing should be created by my own hands, not by pinning my hopes on a woman. It took me 25 years to understand this truth, but luckily it's not too late. So I took my mom's advice, decided to return to the corporate world, experience different kinds of lifestyles, and find a path that I truly love. I want to, in this entirely new world, start a brand new life. 24 hours after I went missing, the police found my phone in a dumpster. After getting the news, Lillian rushed to the police station immediately. Before handing the phone to her, the police asked a few crucial questions. Miss Lillian, are you sure the last time you saw your husband was at 6:30 p.m.? Did you contact him that night? Recently, there has been some public controversy involving you online. May I ask if your husband knew about this? According to the information we gathered, your husband's mother also suddenly disappeared 20 years ago, and there's still no news to this day. Do you think your husband's disappearance is related to his mother? A barrage of questions came down like sharp blades, stabbing straight into Lillian's heart. She clutched her chest, trying to suppress the dull ache, but it was useless. Her brain, having not rested for a single day, became sluggish, struggling to process this information, making her answers full of uncertainty. Yes, 6:30 was his birthday. I texted him that night. He didn't reply to me. But those controversies, I don't know. I don't know if he knew or not. His mom left because his dad cheated. My words suddenly choked in my throat. Lillian snapped her head up. In her numb eyes, a flash of clarity suddenly appeared. Several deeply buried memories began to resurface. Before I disappeared, I took a trip to the psychiatric hospital. The necklace my mom left me. After taking it to get fixed, it was never seen again. I frequently brought up the old stories of my parents, which used to make it hard for me to look back. An intense sense of panic, unlike anything she'd ever felt, surged up in her heart. Lillian, she only felt the hair on her entire body stand on end. A sour, numbing sensation started from her temples, spreading throughout her whole body. Looking at the phone, the screen instantly jumped to the WeChat chat interface. The moment she saw the name at the top of the screen, the blood in Lillian's body felt like it froze solid. Kyle was in the chat history, filled with explicit videos and pictures. Scrolling up, there seemed to be no end. She quietly recalled the Central Plaza, that 5-hour-long video. That caused a public uproar playing on the giant screen. The questions that left her confused, unable to eat or sleep, all found their answers in this very moment. Turns out, I didn't just see that video and suddenly disappear, but from a very, very long time ago. I already knew about her and Kyle's dirty secret. The reason I kept quiet and said nothing was simply because I was plotting my exit, and that video was completely my doing. I used this absolute bridge-burning method to show the whole world, tearing down the facade of our happy marriage, to take revenge on her infidelity. And Lillian was completely oblivious to it. By the time she reacted, she realized she was already standing on the edge of the cliff, and behind her was total darkness, a giant abyss dug by her own hands. She fell into it, plummeting endlessly, without a single ounce of strength to fight back. The fierce wind shaved off her skin like knives. The hidden desires deep inside her heart suddenly corroded her flesh and blood. The blinding sunlight evaporated her, drying him out, draining him completely. In the end, leaving only an empty skeleton, crashing onto the hard rocks. Splat! Smashed to pieces. 3 days after the video incident, the news of my disappearance spread like wildfire. At the same time, the male lead in the video was also dug up by netizens. He was a freshman at S University, the younger brother of Lillian's college roommate. 2 bombshells dropping at the exact same time quickly pushed the hashtag Lillian cheating to the top of the search trends. This time, the Lillian family dumped a massive amount of money, but still couldn't cool down the heat. It was as if someone was secretly fueling the flames. In just one night, the Lillian group's stock plummeted. Old man Lillian had a heart attack and had to be hospitalized that very night. When the secretary relayed this news to Lillian, her psychological defense line, which was already on the verge of collapse, completely shattered. The golden 72 hours for rescue had passed. There was still no news of me. She had searched every single place she could think of, even hiring countless private investigators, pulling strings, checking all the surveillance cameras on the streets of Beijing, but still couldn't find a single trace of me. My household registration had been deleted. Every item in the house related to me had been scrubbed clean. The last image of me caught on CCTV was at 6:30 p.m. on the 21st. After she drove away from the house, I walked. Nobody knew what was in the bag. The investigators were tracking my whereabouts. Lillian forced herself to make a trip to the hospital. The moment she walked through the door, Father Lillian slapped her across the face so hard she saw stars, making her dizzy. The secret you caused stirred up such a massive storm. The entire Lillian family is going to be ruined by you. She struggled to kneel on the ground, in front of her furious parents, and her grandfather, who was still on oxygen, continuously kowtowing. After the thudding sounds of her head hitting the floor echoed, a series of knocks came from outside the door. Father Lillian's face darkened. He turned around and saw a face that he absolutely despised to the core. The Lillian Group's biggest competitor, Chloe, the current CEO of the Chu Group. She brought 7 or 8 people with her. Seeing this scene of a father, I heard old man Lillian wasn't feeling well. So as a junior, I specifically came to check on his health. Not sure if it's a bad time, just looking at her gloating face. The Lillian family realized something was terribly wrong. Their faces changed and they started scolding her, facing their relentless criticism. Chloe acted like she didn't hear a thing. She smiled brightly, pulling out a document, tapping it repeatedly against her palm. It's fine if it's a bad time. Actually, I came here today because I have another matter to handle. A few days ago, I received a share transfer agreement. The signatory is the largest shareholder of the Lillian Group. I got it for rock-bottom prices. She transferred 70% of her shares to you. Yes, I've already signed it. I came here today to inform everyone. At 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will bring my lawyers to the Lillian Group headquarters to handle the relevant procedures. Please prepare yourselves in advance. These words were like a thunderbolt out of a clear sky, echoing in the ears of everyone in the room. Father Lillian simply didn't believe a word she said. He was the first to step up and object. Impossible. The largest shareholder of the Lillian Group is Lillian. If she didn't sign it, how could it be transferred to you? Chloe shifted her gaze to Lillian, the smile on her face. Is this true or false? Uncle Lillian, just ask your precious daughter. Goodbye. Lillian was already frozen in place, not knowing what to say. Her whole body was a mess, not knowing where she was or what she had been through, leaving only the sound of her non-stop panting, echoing continuously in her head. Kyle's older sister and parents, on the day the incident broke out, went to his side, asking him what on earth was going on. He gritted his teeth and refused to speak, pissing his family off so much they locked him up directly. On the 5th day after the incident, unable to handle the intense backlash from the public, he dropped out of S University that night. He finally found a chance to sneak out. As soon as he arrived at the Lillian household, he looked at the pitch-black house, smelling a mix of citrus and rot, searching from the living room up to the 2nd floor. Finally, he found Lillian, her face covered in stubble. This haggard, despairing look, compared to her previously immaculate appearance, surrounded by people as a proud daughter of heaven, was like night and day. Kyle shockingly hugged her, his voice carrying an unconcealed anxiety. Sister Lillian, what's wrong with you? Hearing the noise, Lillian opened her bloodshot eyes. The moment she saw this face, her first reaction was those chat logs. The things that doomed her to this miserable state, the root of all evil that drove me away, was all because of this person right in front of her. In an instant, emotions of rage erupted like a volcano, exploding in Lillian's heart. She couldn't control herself, violently shoving him away, pinning him hard against the wall, her hands tightly gripping his arms, lightly holding him. Her entire face looked terrifying. Every single word was squeezed out from between her teeth, carrying a bone-deep, teeth-grinding hatred. Kyle, I warned you countless times. Trav is my absolute bottom line, yet you dared to do this behind my back. You have a death wish, don't you? Kyle felt like he was tied up, his whole body unable to move, his limbs stimulated by the desire to survive, flailing wildly without any coordination. But no matter what, he couldn't break free. A suffocating feeling came from his throat, making his face turn from red to blue, his eyeballs bulging. He looked at the face twisted in anger right in front of him, deformed. A sense of sheer terror rose like a flood, causing him to unconsciously groan, spitting out fragmented pleas for mercy. I didn't mean to, I just wanted to be with you. Lillian couldn't hear clearly, and she had zero patience to listen to him, watching his struggling movements grow weaker, and his pupils slowly dilating. She only felt the guilt and sorrow weighing down her heart, dissipating, fading away due to the lack of oxygen. Kyle's brain was gradually invaded by a blank void. The image before his eyes became increasingly blurry. Black spots started appearing. In his ears, there was only the faint sound of static, just as he thought he was going to meet his maker right here. The Kyle family, who had chased after him, finally burst in. Katie rushed forward, grabbing Lillian by the collar and yanking her back. After saving her younger brother, she raised her hand and punched Lillian square in the face. Lillian was already seeing red from hatred. She didn't care about any sisterly bonds anymore, lunging at her and breaking into a full-on brawl, neither backing down, throwing punches and kicks wildly. Lillian, you crazy bitch! You cheated on your husband and humiliated my brother, destroying his reputation. What right do you have to lay a finger on him? I ruined him. Katie, you better get your facts straight. It was your homewrecker of a brother who shamelessly seduced me. He practically threw himself at me to get laid. I gave him money, but he wasn't satisfied. He just had to blow this up in front of my husband. So why shouldn't I settle the score with him? He seduced you. How old is he? You couldn't keep your own pants zipped, and you have the nerve to blame it all on him? Fresh like you. No wonder Travis dumped your ass. This sentence hit Lillian right where it hurt the most, completely igniting her rage. She charged forward like a maniac, attacking ruthlessly, swinging her fists down. Kyle was beaten until his face was black and blue, covered in blood, completely unable to fight back. She desperately resisted, her hands clawing wildly. Suddenly, she grabbed a liquor bottle. Under subconscious stimulation, she didn't even have time to think, smashing it violently against Lillian's head. A loud crash echoed. Glass shards flew everywhere, landing on both of them, scraping their skin, causing various major and minor cuts. Lillian's forehead was smashed open, a bloody gash appearing. Bright red blood gushed out wildly, hitting the floor in massive drops, spreading out like blooming snowflakes. Slowly regaining consciousness, Kyle looked at the scene before him, only feeling his guts tremble. His entire body felt drained of strength, still using both his hands and feet to crawl forward, supporting Lillian, who had collapsed onto the floor. He used his hands to tightly cover her wound, desperately trying to stop the endless bleeding. He turned toward his sister, terrified and in absolute despair, wailing, "Hurry! Call 120, quick! Sister Lillian is bleeding a lot, so much blood!" Katie endured the pain and struggled to her feet, wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, then reached out, wanting to pull Kyle up. Her voice, "She's not dead yet. Kyle, get up right now. You are not allowed to see her ever again." Kyle shook his head like his life depended on it, stubbornly refusing to let go. Tears and snot mixing together, his face filled with despair and reluctance. "I don't need anyone else. I love her. I just want to be with her. I'm begging you, save her. I'm begging you." Seeing his hopeless, lovesick attitude, Katie wished she could slap him twice. "If I hadn't shown up just now, you would have been strangled to death by that beach. Kyle, you absolute simp. She only wants your body. She doesn't like you at all. Do you still not get it? I know everything, but I still like her. As long as I can proudly stand by her side, I don't care about anything else. I've never liked someone this much. Just let me have this one win. Even if I have to die with her, I'm willing." This gut-wrenching, pathetic crying made Katie so furious she nearly coughed up blood on the spot. She never expected that after leaving him with Lillian for just 3 months, he would turn into this pathetic, love-crazed mess. But he was still her flesh and blood brother. No matter how disappointed she was, she couldn't just abandon him, so she tried to suppress her furious emotions, crouched down and pried his fingers off one by one. "You're coming with me right now."
"I'll call 120.
Kyle still refused to agree. Katie directly dragged him outside. "If you don't leave with me right now, I will kill her myself." Hearing this, Kyle flinched, not daring to speak nonsense anymore. He could only stand up and follow behind his sister, looking back downstairs as he walked. With trembling hands, he dialed 120. After returning, Kyle was locked up again. This time, the whole family took turns guarding him, not leaving his side for a single second, and they confiscated his phone. He lost all contact with the completely clueless about how Lillian was doing now. His family would persuade him every single day, continuing to try and drill some sense into him, but not a single word went into his ears, treating it like wind passing by. Days went by, he was just locked in his bedroom, to the point where he even forgot what day it was. These past few days, he couldn't eat or sleep. He lost a ton of weight, looking incredibly haggard. In the evening, Mother Kyle brought dinner. It was black chicken soup simmered all afternoon, but the moment Kyle smelled it, he couldn't help but gag and vomit. Seeing him dry heaving, Mother Kyle's face turned pale. She hurriedly put the bowl of soup down, quickly booking a health checkup at the hospital. Without waiting for Kyle to react, she shoved him into the hospital. When they saw the test results confirming a spicy downstairs infection, STD, Father Kyle heard the news and rushed back, unable to hold back any longer. He slapped Kyle straight across the face twice, his voice filled with sorrow and rage. 18 years old! You're only 18 instead of studying properly. You brought this disgusting disease home. Kyle, is this how you repay me and your mother for raising you? Are your bones really that cheap? Mother Kyle, standing to the side, was already crying uncontrollably, covering her face, looking like she was about to pass out. Katie had predicted this all along, seeing her suspicions confirmed. Her entire face looked gloomy enough to drip water. Non-stop chain smoking. In the entire family, Kyle was the only one who actually felt a twisted sense of joy about catching this disease. He looked at the results with eyes full of disbelief. His heart, which he thought was dead, gradually sparked with new hope. He got sick because of Lillian, now that I was out of the picture, and he got infected because of her. Lillian would definitely agree to be with him. After being in this new world for a month, I gradually adapted to the life here. Every day, I clock in at the company on time, working with my colleagues to promote the fashion brand Ho Kwang, establishing projects. I also found my passion, enrolling in many fashion design courses, determined to become a top international designer. In my free time, Mom and I would take walks, go shopping, and relax. A leisurely and peaceful life. Occasionally, Hazel would also ask what kind of life I lived for the past 25 years in the original world. Whenever this topic came up, I never knew where to start, because I knew my mom cared about me, so she was curious. But I didn't want her to worry, so I would always stay silent for a few seconds, then pretend like it was nothing, and change the subject. Gradually, Hazel seemed to realize those old stories might be a bit hard to revisit, and she stopped asking. Before the new year, my mom and I went back to visit our hometown. Hazel took me to visit the graves. It was my first time meeting my grandparents, even though I had never met these two elders in person. But when I looked at the two photos on the tombstone, their gentle smiles made me feel incredibly close to them. On the way back, Mom and I chatted about the past, and through my mom, I heard a lot of old stories I never knew before. During her sophomore year of college, she followed her professor into the mountains for an expedition. Because of the thick fog, she got lost. Her father was taken by something calling itself a system. To the world where I was born, the system wanted her to complete a mission, saying that once the progress bar hit 100%, she could return to her original world. That mission involved capturing Thomas's heart, Thomas being my dad. She needed to find a way to get close to him and help him escape the trauma of being dumped by his first love. It took her 3 years to find the day the progress bar hit 100%. The system told her she could go home. At the same time, Thomas proposed to her. She didn't know whether to stay for him or return to the world, where she had lived for 19 years. She hesitated for a very long time. Thomas also begged her for a very long time, but in the end, she went soft, stayed in that world and married him. Right after they registered their marriage, she got pregnant and had me. Their married life was ordinary and warm. Gradually, she even forgot she was a transmigrator, preparing to stay there for the rest of her life. Until I was 6, my dad's first love returned from abroad. On one hand, he promised my mom they were just friends. On the other hand, he sneaked around and slept with her. That woman even got pregnant. In order to openly steal her spot, she didn't hesitate to pay the price of a miscarriage, falsely accusing my mom of killing their baby. Such a clumsy, poorly framed setup would have cleared my mom's name, but my dad only believed that woman's one-sided story. In that moment, her heart completely died, and she decided to return to her own world. Before she left, she asked if I wanted to go with her, but I liked the girl next door too much and refused to leave with her. She could only use her remaining points to exchange for a space-time necklace and leave it for me. By the time she returned to the real world, she found out that during the 9 years she was missing, her father never gave up looking for her. Just 1 week before she returned, he passed away. She wasn't able to see him one last time and could only wail in front of his grave. At that time, she truly regretted it. She always thought if she hadn't been greedy for that little bit of romance and returned to her family sooner, he wouldn't have been sad for so long, and I wouldn't have overworked myself to an early grave. Those were the darkest 3 months of her life. My grandma stayed by her side, explaining things to her. She told her what she had been through and also mentioned my existence. My grandma didn't doubt her at all, telling her that one day I would come looking for her, telling her she had to pull herself together. Only then did she gradually escape her grief. 2 years ago, my grandma also passed away. Her last words before leaving were still about me, saying it was a pity she never got to meet her grandson. At that time, she was truly anxious because it had been 20 years. She thought maybe I had already started my own family and wouldn't come looking for her anymore. Nobody expected that just as she was about to give up hope. I appeared by her side. Even though I was currently lying in her arms, she still felt like this was just a dream. Back when the incident happened, I was still a kid. I had absolutely no idea what actually went down. I only knew that on a sunny morning, Mom dropped me off at kindergarten and then never appeared again. Everyone said my mom harmed someone, was scared of going to jail, so she abandoned her husband and son and ran away. Even my dad initially thought so. But only I knew. My mom was the best mom in the world. She wouldn't harm anyone, and she wouldn't abandon me. Mom was just disappointed in Dad, so she left. That's why I never mentioned the necklace to anyone, even when the truth was finally revealed and my mom's name was cleared. Dad went crazy from despair over this and had to be put in a psychiatric hospital. I still didn't tell him that I had a way to reach my mom's world. Letting down someone who gave you their true heart means you have to suffer the appropriate punishment. I always firmly believed this. At the same time, I had wondered countless times, did my mom live happily after returning to her world? Grandma, do you still hate Thomas? Do you ever think about this son of yours? I couldn't know the answers. Until today, hearing my mom bring up these stories. Seeing her calm expression, I was finally absolutely certain my mom had let it go. The heavy boulder in my heart was finally lifted. I held Hazel's hand and finally opened up, telling my mom about how I came to this world, what had happened. 20 years passed in the blink of an eye, but I spent 5 whole hours, explaining everything clearly from dusk till pitch black. The smile on Hazel's face gradually vanished, leaving only an endless heartache. She never expected that an identical story would repeat itself on her son, and the person who caused her son the most pain was the exact same person who made her leave her son in that space all those years ago. For a brief moment, she felt a pang of regret. If she had taken her son with her back then, would her son have avoided suffering such trauma? But life has no ifs, so she could only stay in the present. Unable to turn back time, she hugged her child, neither saying a word. We didn't really need to speak. Many emotions, just a single hug, is enough to convey to the other person. We both walked out of the blood and tears of betrayal. No one could empathize with each other more than us. The wounds that once caused me agonizing pain gradually healed under my mom's protection. Looking back at the past, but I wouldn't feel pain anymore, and I wouldn't find it hard to talk about anymore, right? I gave my true heart. I just gave it to the wrong person. The fault lies with the one who trampled on it, not me. Before I left, I exposed all those scumbags to the public. Karma will definitely hit them eventually. That distant, unpredictable world has become the past for my mom. I've stepped out of the mud and started over, even though I don't know what the road ahead will look like. But as long as I'm by my mom's side, I feel like everything is bright. I held my mom's hand and pinky promised her, making a vow. Let's treat everything that happened in that other world as just a dream. Now that we've woken up from the dream, let's not mention it ever again. Day 30 of my disappearance. Still not a single trace. Lillian wanted to flip the entire city of Beijing upside down, but still came up empty-handed. Every time she fell asleep, she would plunge into nightmares. That scared her out of her wits. In the dream, she could still see me. My eyes looking at her were colder than ice. No matter how she cried, kneeled, and apologized, begging with remorse, I remained indifferent. No matter how desperately she chased after my footsteps, I was always just ahead, so close to her. But she could never reach me, like a giant maze trapping her in place. She could only wait for the moment she woke up. But the second she opened her eyes and returned to reality, looking at the empty house, another wave of pain would hit and could only let herself drown in it. She locked herself in her room as days went by. Gradually, she started losing the ability to tell dream from reality, and her moments of clarity grew fewer, until one morning, the doorbell, which hadn't rung in ages, let out a crisp sound that woke her up. She stumbled downstairs to open the door, her eyes filled with desperate anticipation. But when she saw her parents, it turned to gloom. After not seeing her for nearly a month, Father Lillian looked at her haggard, homeless-like appearance. The anger he had suppressed for so long finally exploded. 2 men reduced you to this pathetic state? Lillian, why did I give birth to such a useless thing like you? At this moment, Mother Lillian stood beside him, seeing the wound on her daughter's forehead. Hurriedly tried to mediate. Stop it. Things have already gotten to this point. What's the use of scolding her now? She's your own flesh and blood. Just say a few less words. Lillian kept her head down, not saying a word. Father Lillian let out a cold humph, pushed her aside and walked inside. Mother Lillian also sighed, while directing the movers to bring stuff in. She told her about the recent events. After Chloe got her hands on those shares, she teamed up with a few other shareholders to squeeze the Lillian family. The stock price continuously plummeted. Many subsidiary companies were facing bankruptcy, liquidation, and the legal representative was her father. To fill the massive deficit, we could only sell all the cars and houses we owned. Your grandpa is still in the ICU and needs money. We even sold the old family estate. From now on, our whole family will live together. Lillian also didn't expect that in just 1 month, Chloe had turned the Lil into an empty shell. The legacy her ancestors worked so hard to build was destroyed by her own hands just like that. She hugged her head in absolute despair, her entire body swallowed clean by the emotion of regret. Not even a drop of energy left to fight back. Mother Lillian also knew her daughter wasn't feeling good, patted her shoulder, wanting to say a few words of comfort, but didn't know what to say. Just as the mother and daughter were at a loss for words, a voice, both unfamiliar and familiar, came from behind them. Sister Lillian, Aunt Lillian. Hearing the voice, the 2 of them turned their heads and saw Kyle and his parents. His sister was standing right outside the door. The moment she saw this family, Lillian's face looked like it was covered by dark storm clouds, pitch black. She glared over coldly, her voice dripping with hatred and hostility. What are you doing here? Seeing her like this? Kyle almost burst into tears right then and there, hiding in a corner, unable to speak. Katie, furious in her heart seeing this, directly shielded her brother behind her, instantly firing back. You think we wanted to come here? We just want an explanation. Hearing this word, Lillian let out a cold laugh. She wanted an explanation too. In the dimly lit room, the two families sat opposite each other, neither looking pleased. The atmosphere in the living room was suffocating to the extreme. After a long silence where no one spoke up, Kyle finally gathered all his courage and dropped the bomb. I got a spicy infection, and it's all your fault. This sentence was like thunder from a clear sky, completely shattering the dead silence. Both father and mother Lillian looked incredibly shocked. Katie glared at her. Lillian was so spooked by this news, she jumped right out of her chair. In those eyes, sharper than a sword, there was nothing but pure disbelief. Impossible. Hearing him flat out deny it, clenching her fists, she argued with her. Why is it impossible? My brother only slept with you, the doctor said. It's because he was getting too freaky lately. Are you still trying to deny it? Lillian's dull brain quickly booted up, counting back 2 months. So it happened around mid-November. Then it's even more impossible. That month his body was clearly incredibly clean. How could he possibly have gotten infected? After a round of logical deduction, Lillian was certain they were lying. Her glare grew even sharper. If it was 2 months ago, then I didn't cause it. Who knows if your playboy of a brother was sneaking around with some other woman outside? Katie was triggered by these humiliating words. She raised her hand, ready to slap her, but Kyle hugged her tightly. He looked at Lillian. Did you forget about that day? You made me lose control on top of you. After his reminder, Lillian finally remembered the absurdity of that night. Her expression turned even darker. Gritting her teeth, she interrogated him. Didn't I secretly buy the morning after pill for you? Why didn't you take it? I looked it up, and it said the pill is bad for the body, so I didn't take it. Lillian, now is not the time to stress over taking the pill or not, but rather, when I didn't take the pill, the important thing is, I got infected. Kyle looked at her pitifully, full of anticipation, waiting for her to recall, but Lillian used just one sentence, to crush his sweet dreams. Even if I caused it, I won't take responsibility for it. The entire living room fell into dead silence because of this sentence. At this moment, Mother Kyle, who had been standing on the sidelines for a while, finally couldn't hold back and stood up, scolding excitedly. You lied to me again. My son barely came of age and he had relations with you. Now my son won't even be able to have kids with his future wife. First you denied it and tried to sweep it under the rug. Now you want to point fingers? Acting so irresponsible like this. You'll get struck by lightning. Hearing his mother's words, Kyle's tears fell like rain, his voice full of pleading. Lillian, I already went to the hospital to get checked. When I got checked, the doctor said my body used to be perfectly healthy. It's all because I didn't know when to stop when I was with you. How could you have the heart to abandon me? Facing his wailing and crying, Lillian remained expressionless, completely unmoved. From the very first time you climbed into my bed, I warned you. You and I are just playing around. You want to use your infection to blackmail me into directly grabbing her by the collar. Lillian, watch your filthy mouth. My son genuinely wanted to date you. You toyed with his feelings and refused to take responsibility. How? Facing the threats from the father and daughter, Lillian wasn't scared in the slightest. Her eyes full of mockery. Me and your older daughter, your son. From the very beginning, he was the one who initiated seducing me. He had nasty intentions, got me drunk, and we slept together. I already compensated him with money, and he pushed his luck. You still want to use his infection to blackmail me? On what grounds should I be responsible for a man with ulterior motives? Katie couldn't take it anymore. Landed a solid punch straight to her face. Lillian wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. A flash of bitterness appeared in her eyes, raised her hand wanting to fight back. Father Lillian, who had been sitting on the sofa the whole time, finally couldn't stand, yelling loudly. Stop it, that's enough! Lillian, you and Travis were married for 5 years. You guys didn't have kids anyway. Now he up and left without a word. Then just get a divorce. I don't even want to manage the mess you've created, but you have to take responsibility. Hearing this unquestionable tone of command, Lillian instantly panicked. I will absolutely never divorce Trav. He's just mad right now. Once he cools off, he'll come back. Old man Lillian also didn't expect that Travis had harmed their family to this extent. Yet his daughter was still obsessing over him. He couldn't help but interrupt. So what if he comes back? Then what? Hasn't he ruined you enough? He and his mother are cut from the same cloth. Once they leave, how could they ever come back? Do you want to end up like his father? Going completely insane and spending the rest of your life in a psychiatric hospital? Hearing the person closest to her say these words, Lillian only felt a piercing pain in her heart. She clenched her fists, her face dead pale, but still stubbornly refused to accept reality, still forcing herself to make excuses for him. He will definitely come back. We've been together for so many years. How could he just abandon me? Sister Lillian, wake up! His household registration is deleted. How could this be? Kyle's advice was like a sharp blade, piercing right through Lillian's fragile defenses. She glared at him furiously, showing an expression that looked ready to eat someone alive. Shut your mouth! Even if Trav never comes back in this lifetime, I will absolutely never agree to marry you. In my heart, my husband in this life can only be Trav. Kyle's face slowly turned dead pale at this sentence. His shoulders trembled non-stop. His index finger dug deep into his flesh, blood dripping down. An unprecedented despair engulfed his heart. For the first time, he realized that was a massive, towering mountain that was impossibly hard to overcome. Even if I evaporated from this world, he still couldn't step into Lillian's heart, seeing his daughter's quiet, maddening state. Father Lillian couldn't hold it in anymore, directly ordering people to lock her in her room. The living room returned to silence. Mother Lillian called for fresh tea to be served, personally handing it to the Kyle family, but they still didn't give her a good look. Father Lillian glanced at Kyle, trying to force a pleasant expression. Lillian doesn't know what she's saying. Don't take her crazy ramblings from just now to heart. Since her body was harmed, our Lillian family will definitely take responsibility, getting this promise. Mother Kyle's expression finally softened a bit. Kyle also quickly recovered to normal, bowing to Father and Mother Lillian. Thank you, Uncle Lillian, Aunt Lillian, Sister Lillian. She's just gone through too many tragedies recently. She just hasn't thought it through yet. I understand her. I truly love her a lot. That's why I want to stay by her side. I believe that one day she'll accept me. Him acting all weak and understanding like this, for the two Lillian elders who had just faced back-to-back blows, was very comforting. Mother Lillian pulled him to sit next to her, carefully discussing with the Kyle family. I've seen the news. My useless daughter caused such a massive mess, and we still have to bother you all to help clean it up. I'm truly embarrassed. Since Kyle is severely ill, then move into my house. I'll personally help take care of him, and use this time to nurture his feelings with Lillian. Lillian actually isn't a bad person. She just values relationships too much. Wait until he's cured. She'll think it through and obediently go register her marriage with you. We will also help take care of things. Kyle's anxious and restless heart gradually stabilized. He rubbed his head, looking at the closed bedroom on the second floor. A spark of hope ignited in his eyes again. Using his recovery as a legitimate excuse to stay at the Lillian house, Kyle's complexion gradually improved. Even though the Lillian family had fallen from grace, a starved camel is still bigger than a horse. They still took great care of him. Every day, Kyle would go up to the second floor to visit Lillian, bringing some sweets, fruit, and saying some sweet nothings, delusionally hoping to use their past affection to move her. But not only did she not appreciate it, she threw everything he brought right out the door. She even ran out of her bedroom a few times, wanting to forcibly drag him to the hospital to get treated ASAP. Kyle was so scared his legs turned to jelly. After a few rounds of this, he didn't dare bring it up in front of her again, or mention the past to trigger her. Days passed one by one. His body gradually recovered. Even though he ate a lot of supplements, his body was still heavily impacted by his excessive indulgence. As for Lillian, she was locked in her bedroom for 2 months, never seeing the sun, never seeing anyone, relying on alcohol all day to numb herself, drinking until she was limp. Father Lillian, seeing her willingly degrading herself like this, got so mad his heart disease almost flared up again. He scolded her countless times, but she still didn't change. Sometimes she would even bang on the walls in the middle of the night demanding booze. Over time, they stopped bothering to manage her, treating her like a resident alcoholic parasite they kept in the house. Like they never gave birth to this daughter, putting all their hopes on their son-in-law getting cured, so the two could reach their happy ending sooner, caring and catering to Kyle in every possible way, even though they still weren't married. But Kyle felt like this position was already a sure thing in his hands. He stopped acting humble and submissive. Wait until he realized. He demanded they go register their marriage first. Mother Lillian, to co-sex him, gave him a glance, then walked right out. Even though her attitude wasn't great, but seeing her pull herself together, Kyle was still happy in his heart. To get on her good side, he specifically learned how to cook a dinner from the butler, wanting the whole family to have a meal together tonight. But the Kyle family waited from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Lillian still hadn't come home. Seeing Father Kyle so mad he was ready to throw his chopsticks, Kyle hurriedly did some damage control. Only then did they start eating. After eating, Katie left without even taking a sip of tea. Father Lillian also stomped off angrily straight to his study. Kyle waited alone in the living room until 12 a.m. and finally waited until Lillian came home. She drank quite a bit, but her consciousness was still clear. Treating him like thin air, she walked straight upstairs. When Kyle tried to step forward and support her, she swatted his hand away. His eyes looking wronged, he followed her upstairs. The second the door closed, he threw himself into her arms, tears falling like pearls with a broken string. Sister Lillian, it's been so long. Are you still mad? I've been at your house for so long. Can't you just forgive me for my sake? Forgive. Hearing this word, a flash of darkness instantly appeared in Lillian's eyes. Kyle didn't notice the shift in her mood, grabbed her hand, and rubbed it against his growing round belly. Sister Lillian, I'm almost completely healed. When the time comes, if you want me, I'll serve you till the end. She didn't resist, making Kyle even more brazen, grabbing her hand and slowly moving it upwards. When he touched something hard, he let out a soft moan. Lillian, however, completely froze on the spot. She turned her head with a cold face. Looking at the person putting on a pitiful act, she forcefully yanked her hand back. Are you really that thirsty? I'm just afraid you won't be able to hold back. Lillian couldn't tolerate it anymore, directly shoved him out the door, brutally saying, Get out. If you dare pull this stunt again, Don't ever dream of stepping foot into the Lillian household in this lifetime. Time passed day by day. Very quickly, the evening of April 16th arrived. Under the relentless persuasion of Mother Lillian, Lillian finally agreed to go register their marriage tomorrow. Kyle, after hearing this news, was so happy he didn't sleep a wink all night. He woke up the next day, saw Lillian wearing a crisp, tailored suit, her hair meticulously styled, and he felt even more indescribable joy. He walked over and sat at the dining table, suddenly craving orange juice. He called the maid a few times, but no one answered. Lillian gave him a glance, stood up and walked into the kitchen. Not long after, she brought out a freshly squeezed glass of 100% orange juice and placed it in front. This was the first time since living together for so long that Lillian gave him a good attitude. Kyle was so moved, he almost burst into tears on the spot, starting to act cute again. Sister Lillian, I knew you were all bark and no bite. You still care about me deep down. Lillian ignored him. Her eyes were glued to that glass of orange juice. Kyle thought she was rushing him to hurry up and taste it, so he quickly picked up the glass and took a sip. He was just about to compliment her when he heard Lillian's ice-cold voice. Drink it all if you want to get on my good side. Kyle hurriedly chugged the remaining half glass of orange juice. Looking at the empty glass, Lillian revealed a satisfied smile. Kyle smiled along with her, his eyes full of joy, looking at Sister Lillian. When are we going to the Civil Affairs Bureau? Lillian looked at the clock and casually said, later. Kyle obediently said, okay, picked up his sandwich and took small bites. He was eating very focusedly, completely unaware that Lillian's gaze was constantly fixated on him, with an unreadable expression. Halfway through his meal, he felt a bit full. Looking around, he finally realized Father and Mother Lillian, who usually woke up early, weren't home today. So he casually asked, where are Mom and Dad? Mom and Dad, who gave you permission to call them that? Kyle froze, looking up at Lillian, his eyes brimming with grievance. Aren't we going to register our marriage later? Am I not allowed to call them that? Lillian raised her left hand, adjusted the slightly crooked ring on her ring finger, then used her previous tone and asked back, if you're looking forward to it that much, then let's just not go. The smile on Kyle's face instantly stiffened. His heart beat faster. No, we're not going? Didn't you already agree? Yeah, I did agree, but what if I changed my mind now? Is that not allowed? Besides, I'm pretty sure you won't have the mood to go register a marriage anymore. Lillian suddenly paused, adding a sentence laced with a creepy, eerie sort of joy. Kyle panicked internally. Why did you change your mind? Lillian looked up at the calendar, her eyes gradually taken over by memories. Because today is the 12th anniversary of the day Trav and I got together. What makes you think that on such an important day I could go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you to take the spot that solely belongs to him? Kyle looked over too. With one glance, he saw that date circled in red. For some unknown reason, the nausea that had stopped a long time ago suddenly surged up in him again. He tried to suppress the unease in his heart. His voice panicked to the point of cracking. But my disease is almost cured. Do you really have the heart to abandon me? Very much so. Lillian's voice was as calm as a lake, but when it fell into Kyle's ears, it was like a booming thunderclap. He instinctively backed away, his eyes full of terror and begging. Sister Lillian, you were the one who seduced me in the beginning. How could you have the heart to do this to me? If Uncle and Aunt find out, they'll definitely be furious. Seeing his terrified face hiding in the corner, Lillian let out a soft chuckle. The next second, those cold eyes instantly turned sharper than a blade. Of course I'm not going to get my own hands dirty. After all, if I do it, I might not know my own strength. What if something happens to you? Your sister would probably kill me. I thought about it over and over and figured swallowing a whole pharmacy is the safest bet. What do you think? Hearing the words, swallowing a whole pharmacy, Kyle's face turned dead white. He looked toward that empty glass. His first reaction was to stick his fingers down his throat to make himself throw up. Seeing him collapse on the floor, throwing up until the world spun, Lillian felt incredibly joyful. She stood up and looked down at him, her tall silhouette covering him like a mountain. I told you countless times to face the consequences yourself. Why did you never listen? Everything I gave Trav was voluntary, and you're nothing but a dog that I play with when I'm in a good mood. What gives you the right to think you can compare to him? He was driven away by your dirty, despicable tricks. Did you really think I'd agree to let you replace him? How could you be so stupid? The pain he had to suffer, I'll repay you 1,000 times over. So you know what it means to wish you were dead. By the end of her speech, Lillian's had a smile on her face, but her eyes were filled with tears. He looked up, staring at this house that had changed beyond recognition. His heart felt like it was drenched in boiling water. He stumbled and pushed the door open to go outside. But looking around, he had no destination. He just wanted to be by Lillian's side, but he didn't know where to go. After the lights of the emergency room went off, the nurse came out to inform the family of the results. He ingested a massive amount of sedatives. Even though we've pumped his stomach in time, he still absorbed quite a bit. For his health, we suggest admitting him to the ER for treatment, but the patient vehemently refused. So we came to ask for the parents' opinion. Hearing this, Father and Mother Lillian's hearts turned cold, asking relentlessly, what kind of impact will these pills have on him? Is there no way to fix it? Sorry, due to a lack of clinical trial data, the hospital isn't entirely sure of the specific negative impacts. Maybe his body will be weaker, or maybe there won't be any negative effects, but to be safe, Father and Mother Lillian were still unwilling to accept it. But they thought about it for a long time and finally agreed. So for the next 5 months, Kyle had to stay in the hospital. Lillian knew he was fine and went out of her way to look for him and caused trouble multiple times. Father Lillian was utterly disappointed, directly ordered people to take Lillian to the psychiatric hospital and lock her up. A month later, Kyle's disease was mostly cured. He chose to be discharged. At first, he felt his body had no issues, always showing up in revealing clothes in Lillian's room, hoping to make her find that old feeling again. But Lillian completely ignored him. Every day, she just ordered people to drag him out of her room. He could only wash his face with tears, crying and complaining non-stop. His stepmothers also occasionally came to cause a scene, with a knot in her heart. Mother Lillian couldn't handle this blow and passed away from anger in less than 2 months. Father Lillian was furious, directly kicked Kyle out of the house. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. He looked at the empty house and finally remembered that useless daughter. But by the time he rushed to the psychiatric hospital, wanting to take Lillian out, he heard another piece of terrible news from the doctor. Because of her frequent drinking and her deteriorating mental state, Lillian had lost her mind. Father Lillian didn't believe it, but by the time he walked into the hospital room and saw the person with graying hair at her temples, with a vacant, dead look in her eyes, he finally couldn't hold it back and shed tears. Karma! It's karma! Looking at this old man crying so heartbreakingly, Lillian's consciousness returned for a brief moment, but she didn't recognize the person in front of her. Assuming he was just some fellow patient, she handed the apple in her hand to him. What are you crying for? Does nobody want to play with you? Then wait for Trav to come back. We'll be your friends, okay? Father Lillian never expected that after so many years. Lillian still remembered me. He reached out and grabbed his daughter's hand, his voice carrying sorrow and despair. Do you not recognize your dad anymore? Do you still remember Travis? Lillian didn't understand what he was saying. She could only catch the name Travis. Thinking I had finally come back, she immediately stood up, wanting to bolt out. The medical staff hurriedly stopped her. You are Lillian's family member, right? We'd like to ask you something. Who exactly is this Travis the patient keeps mentioning? Could you invite him to the hospital? It might help improve the patient's condition. Travis? Looking at Lillian gradually calming down in the room, Father Lillian shook his head. Knowing that, dropping these 3 words, he lifted his feet and slowly walked downstairs. As he passed through the courtyard, he saw a familiar silhouette. It was Thomas. After not seeing him for nearly 30 years, he had aged so much he barely looked human anymore. So frail it seemed like he could drop dead the next second. But his mouth still constantly mumbled a name. Hazel! Hazel! It took Father Lillian a long time to remember who this was. Hazel was my mom. On a morning many years ago, she had suddenly vanished. So, is there really such a thing as fate in this world? Father Lillian didn't know. But looking at Thomas's current state, he could imagine 20 years from now what Lillian would look like. She would be as old and frail as him, her consciousness just as foggy as his, also constantly mumbling a name that she wouldn't be able to forget even in death. And those people they were reminiscing about, when would they return? They will probably never return.